Let's bring in Chris Sims, the former NFL quarterback and, of course, Pro Football Talk Live co-host. If I would have told you 5 years ago Carson Wentz may be on his way out of football, you would have said what?
I'd go, wow. I mean, what happened? How serious was his injury that he had that would make him want to retire at this point of his career? That's what I would have thought. I don't think he's going to be out of football, Dan, but I'd certainly think he's officially relegated to backup quarterback. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And again, that's I understand it, but let's not forget too. It's this year, the last game. It was not good. I get that. He was the quarterback of a team earlier this year who couldn't protect or run the ball at all. Taylor Heineke kind of got to get the benefits of when the team got together. But, he was okay last year. It was 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions last year. It's not the worst guy in football. No. He just makes some dumb mistakes, but I think his starting days are done, Dan.
All right, let me ask you about the Bills and Bengals in the aftermath. If you're a player on the Buffalo Bills right now, how much do you want to have this game rescheduled or make it a tie?
I don't want it rescheduled. I don't. I think I'd want, if I was a player, or even as I sit here right now, I just want to go, let's just move on with life and continue to go forward here. It just, the karma throwing us back out there on the field this week or even maybe next week where that's been thrown out there as well. To me, you're just going to reignite the bad thoughts and the feelings and all the mental health issues that could go along with this to where, hey, this is just, it's an unforeseen circumstance. We're uncharted.
What about the Bengals?
I know. It stinks. Life's not fair sometimes. And that's just the way it fell. I don't know. I'm sorry. I do feel for them. I understand that. I feel for the Ravens and the fact that they don't get a chance, or maybe the Bills could have beat the Bengals and then the Ravens could have beat the Bengals and they could win, the division and have a home playoff game. But it's just the way it's, shook out this year. And it's unfortunate, certainly, because the Bengals are really good. But one thing I know about the Bengals? They don't give a damn. That's for sure. They got a quarterback, I think, who goes, okay, wait, whatever, it doesn't matter. F it. If we got to go play on the road and beat Josh Allen and Mahomes there, we can do it. Bring it on. And I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I wonder what do you do if you're the NFL? Because if Buffalo says we don't want to go back to Cincinnati, you can't hand them a forfeit. It'll look bad. The court of public opinion would be really, really upset with the NFL. But I don't know. Can you do winning percentage when it comes to the seeding for the playoffs?
Yeah, I feel like that's, to me, the best option. Yeah. That's the way I feel about it, at least. It's not going to be fair, but I think that's really, as we look at it right now, it's either, hey, we go on this week and we push forward and we play the week 18 slate, and the Bills and Bengals played one less game than everybody else and we just got to figure it out. Or it's, wait, we make everybody else not play football, right?
Yeah.
For a week and we finish that game.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. They finish week 18 and then they finish that game the week after. To me, that just causes more problems and issues than it's worth, and I think you just got to go forward.
When you got injured and you lost your spleen, take me back to what the medical, I don't know if you knew how badly you were, hurt.
Right.
It was different than Monday night, and I'm not trying to make the comparison other than the medical facilities and the attention that were on the field that day when you got injured.
Yeah. Well, I think the NFL has gotten even better in that department as compared to my day right now. That's 16 years ago, basically. But, it was kind of a controversial thing there because, again, I was somebody that, it wasn't as jarring as what we saw here the other night. But, they brought my wife in to say bye to me. And because they weren't sure.
Wait, when did they?
They brought my wife in right before I was going to go into surgery and all that to say bye to me because I had lost 9 pints of blood, right? And you only got 14 in your body, and they were already starting the blood transfusion at that point. But yeah, it was very iffy.
Wow.
And I had a ton of blood in my abdomen, and they didn't know. So Again, I can relate to a degree. This was far more serious and immediate right at the moment, but the medical attention was phenomenal. It was the hard part, and we talk about this a lot, is just that I was a grown man. I didn't think I was dying on the field. I wasn't sure what was wrong with me. I was extremely uncomfortable.
But you
and
were dying.
I was dying, right? I was bleeding out internally, and that's why I was short. I couldn't figure out why can't I breathe as the game was getting to the end. Like I couldn't, because I had so much blood trapped in my abdomen. There was no room for my lungs to expand. This was certainly a more harsh reality check here and hit home, especially because we saw it in the marquee game, maybe of the year, on Monday Night Football. But the medical staff couldn't have been better. And some of them took some heat because I continued to play and all that. And it wasn't fair. They did everything they could within their power, and it was a weird injury, and it was unforeseen at that time, and still hasn't been seen to this point, to this day.
And you're taught to hide the injury,
right? Well, we were 0-2. I'm a Sims, so I'm already a stubborn SOB. All right, and I haven't established myself as a definite, franchise quarterback, right, Dan?
Yeah.
I mean, they were gonna wait. You're gonna have to pull me off the field. That just wasn't gonna happen, and that's the struggle that the NFL and players have to this day.
All right, if you're Jim Harbaugh, feels like there's more than just smoke here. If the NFL calls, let's say Carolina offers Jim Harbaugh the job, what do you do?
I think he'll take it. That's the first thing. I brought his name up, in conjunction with the Broncos last week, a little with Florio on PFT, just because I've heard from too many people around football that think he's trying to get back into the NFL. That's his ultimate goal. I understand, the appeal. I mean, he's one of the safer bets out there. I think him, Sean Payton are probably the safest bet as far as you need a guy that's stable, proven, tried, true, will come in, change the culture, get things going in the right direction. Yeah, he makes sense for that. And I can see that why a Denver or a Carolina would like a guy like Jim Harbaugh.
I don't see Sean Payton in Carolina. Feels like, and it feels like Sean Payton is going to have his pick of whatever job. Therefore, I want to know what's the best quarterbacking situation that I'm going to go into. Would that be where, Harbaugh and Sean Payton would probably go, who's your quarterback going to be? Carolina doesn't have one, unless you say, hey, the reclamation project of Sam Darnold, okay. You don't have a high draft pick. I think you have 8th. Whereas Denver, you don't have any draft picks, and you got your quarterback there.
Right.
Arizona, maybe, if that's open. You got Cliff Kingsbury, if you're all in on that. The Colts, good team, no quarterback.
Right.
Handicap the jobs there if you're Sean Payton or Jim Harbaugh.
Right. The Cliff Kingsbury thing's interesting. I think when all's said and done, they'll stay status quo because of the Kyler Murray injury, and it seems like there is guarantees in Cliff Kingsbury's contract through 2026, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that'll save him at the end of the day. And then the other 3, you said it right. I think the thing that's interesting about Jim Harbaugh is I don't think quarterback is a make it or break it type of thing for him. He's not going to make the team about that. We know what they're going to do. It's going to be some boring offense that's going to be detailed and tough, and the defense is going to be detailed and tough, and they're going to tackle you and block you and play situational football the right way. That's what you're going to get from Jim Harbaugh. Sean Payton, I would think there's a little bit more quarterback thinking that way. And Denver's the one that jumps out to you when you certainly think about that situation.
But is that an enviable job?
I know. That's the question.
I mean, who would have thought if I would say, hey, you get to coach Russell Wilson in Denver, and that might be a negative.
Yes, that's the thing we don't know is what are his thoughts and feel of Russell Wilson. I mean, I think everybody knows Russell Wilson's good, and we expect him to turn it around. I think there was, again, the league itself, I think Seattle was always telling people, hey, he's good, but he might not be as great as you think. And I think a lot of people thought, oh, maybe they're just saying that for propaganda purposes and all of that. But how could you not think that by watching that this year? But that and let me just say this about the Carolina Panthers too. I think that team's got a lot of young talent. It's just the quarterback situation. So is it the dysfunction? Can you fix the Broncos and that quarterback? Because the team has a lot of things you like. Or do you go with, wait, we got a team in Carolina and Indianapolis who have some potential, but the quarterback is still a major issue and has to be fixed there?
I guess this is a good problem for the Giants to have, but I brought it up in September. If they play well, if they go to the playoffs, now what do you do with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley? Because you got to make big financial commitments. I'll make you the owner of the Giants. What are you going to do with those two players now that you're playoff bound?
I'm going to keep them for sure. I've been saying that with the Daniel Jones situation here for a little bit.
But franchise, or are you going to give him a long, big deal?
I'm going to give him I'm going to give him a deal. I'm going to give him a deal that's like, maybe a 3-4 year deal that I can get out of after a year or two, maybe 2 years to be safe that way.
What if he says no?
Well, I would go, well, tell me where the grass is greener and tell me who's going to believe in you more than we are.
He could go to Washington. He could go to Carolina.
Well, he could, but do they have Brian Daboll? And do they believe in him the way Brian Daboll and the Maras and the Tisch family?
Do you believe in Daniel Jones?
I do. I do believe
if I said he's going to cost you $40 million a year, do you believe in Daniel Jones?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's about where I think
Are you sure
could be.
That didn't sound definitive?
I can deal. Well, I mean, again, the number, all right, it's a big number.
Well, then what do you do with Saquon Barkley? Can I get Saquon Barkley 4 years, $40 million?
That would be dicey. That's a scarier situation. And he's the one that maybe I would think about franchising.
Okay. All
right. So that'd be the one I would think about. Daniel Jones, though, as I've said, and I think I've said to you before, there's a lot of positives. There really is. And to say that he was with a bad offensive line the first few years of his career is really an understatement. It was the worst offensive line.
Yep.
And there's still not a lot of talent around him. And you're seeing a coach that kind of just put him in the right spot, polished a few things with his game, and all of a sudden, every week we go, Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley are carrying the offense. You see them play.
Yeah.
It's quarterback design run. It's handed to Saquon. It's bootleg. It's, oh, my gosh, I don't have a lot of time to throw it. I got to get it out of my hand quick on a drop back pass. He does that well. He scrambles well. So
I want to see the consistency. Yeah. You got a good head coach. Now get him a couple of weapons there. Before I let you go,
right?
You want to talk about the elephant in the room?
What is that elephant?
Your feud with ESPN?
Well, listen, I just don't like they cherry-picked. I got no problem with them putting me on blast, but I made a comment off of Von Miller talking with Micah Parsons a few weeks ago, right, with the Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles situation, and Micah Parsons kind of saying, hey, it's the team. And I said, Jalen Hurts is really good. I said they would still be really good with Gardner Minshew. Like, I still think they would be in the conversation for one of the best teams in the NFC if Gardner Minshew was the quarterback. Does that mean they're as good with him as Jalen Hurts? No. But my problem with it, Dan, is, okay, they march the ball up and down the field against the Cowboys. He plays really good. He throws 2 interceptions, which one of them you go, no, receiver, you can't let the DB take it out of your hands and take the ball. And then they fumble the ball twice. They're up by 10 in the fourth quarter. Look, where was ESPN Sports Center then? They didn't want to tweet anything. Hey, Chris, maybe you were freaking right with that comment. Well, instead, they're going to wait till the team falls apart the week after.
They don't do that.
All right.
And why would they put you on Sports Center? You work for NBC.
Well, why would they put me on their Instagram then and try to get all these likes and clicks and attention off of it?
Well, they want.
So all I'm saying is buck up, Bart, and then bring me on and talk, or give me credit the first week. Don't cherry pick.
Why
don't wait
you show up? It's not that long a drive from Stamford, Connecticut, up to Bristol, and when Orlovsky walks in the door, you say, "Hey, we're going in together to do NFL Live."
I would love that. I love Dan, so I'm all for it. And I have nothing personal to Dan. I'm more about Omar, who runs the Instagram there, who I used to work with at Bleacher Report.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's where.
Name calling.
That's where I didn't get that.
Omar coming.
Omar screwed me, and we were supposed to be friends. So That's where I didn't like that. And I
Okay.
have no problem. I know I'm wrong sometimes. I get that. I have to make comments and opinions about every subject in football. So I'm going to be wrong. I understand that. And I have great respect for Jalen Hurts. All I was saying is I didn't think he deserved to be in the MVP conversation with Mahomes.
But why don't
and
you
Burrow
have
and Josh
them
Allen.
on why don't you have Omar on Pro Football Talk Live?
Dan, you work there. You know how SportsCenter and the ESPN is. They don't let any of their employees talk to anybody ever. I mean, so I can't deal with it. So
Okay.
I'm not the kind of guy that's just going to sit back and just let them slap me around. You know me well enough now. So I attacked them a little bit. And, but it's nothing personal to any of their on-air talent. I just thought that was cherry picking and a little bit of a BS move that they did there.
ESPN's got some spleening to do.
Yes, they do.
Full circle there with the spleen.
Well done. That's why they pay you the big bucks.
Wait, you got Omar coming there, Marvin?
That's the sounds of the ESPN hallway.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like
That's
when
how
Omar
Omar walks
walks down
through.
the hall. Could you take Orlovsky?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I listen. I like listening to Dan. He's awesome with what he does. I like to think I could take anybody. I mean, that's the way I am. I mean, geez, unless he's like a defensive tackle or an offensive lineman,
You
I'd
can't
like to
take
think-
you can't take Booger and you can't take
No.
Swagoo.
No, definitely not. Definitely
Mina
not.
Kimes, you can't take Mina Kimes.
No way. I don't want to mess with her either. You're right. Hey, those are the real moments you got to have, though. Like, you know how those fathers always talk to their kids and, like, how a kid always thinks, oh, my dad can beat up anybody. I can remember, like, my kid being, like, 5 years old, 6 years old, and him seeing some football players I played with and him going, well, Dad, you could still beat him up, right? And I went, nope, like, absolutely not. He'd kick the crap out of me, Philip. I got no chance. And I thought that was a good teaching moment to go, sometimes you can't win them all. You just got to learn.
Good to talk to you as always.
Always. Say hi to those jerks back there.
Whoa. They're not Omar.
Oh, darn. I had them confused. Sorry for a second.
They're on your side. Wait, are you guys on Simms' side or Omar's? Seton?
Yeah.
More Omar?
Well, we're Sims-ish.
Oh, you're Sims-ish.
Yeah.
Good.
Always
Good.
Chris.
I
don't
take
know.
that back. You're not jerks. I do like you
No,
guys.
I'm on Omar's side because he's creating content, and that's his job.
All right. Well, I'm doing the same here, too. And one thing we do know is I could take you, and I know where you are. So you better watch it, all right?
But if I get you after you've been at the dispensary,
Then
I can take you.
That'll tilt the scales for sure.
I can take you a little bit. Thank you, bud. All right,
All right, guys.
We'll
See ya.
take a break. Play of the day up next.